man. We're here with the amazing hip-hop entrepreneur, lyrical phenom, multi-talented artist, Matt Illz. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, man. Thank you for having me, bro.
Appreciate that, man. And we've known each other for a long time. I'm going to date myself when I say that. I think I've known you since you were...
A kid.
Almost a kid. I don't know. You were a kid?
I was a teenager.
You were a teenager.
I was a teenager,
man,
bro.
I'm feeling real old right now. Okay.
I'm 33 right now.
So I'm gonna edit that out. So anyway, I'm joking. So let's talk a little bit about, you've done some amazing things, man, and you've been in the game for a while, and it's one of those things that hip hop, like music in general, there are few people that are able to stay in the game and make moves and make an impact in their own distinctive way. You don't see that a lot. Longevity, you don't really see it. And there's all types of longevity. I think a lot of times folks are so focused on whoever happens to be on the cover of, whatever magazine, Rolling Stone, Billboard, that they forget that there's a whole ecosystem of artists out there and players out there that are doing amazing things, making an impact. And out of all of those folks, there are definitely a lot less that have been able to sustain that and have some longevity.
Right.
And also create their own movement. So I love to kind of go back a little bit and talk first and foremost, what was it that first inspired you to begin to record music?
I think everybody has this at one point in time, especially growing around a larger family, where I was just a little kid. I just wanted to be like my older cousins. Mm-hmm. And I used to remember putting my ear to the door, listening to my cousin getting down to KRS-One. And I was hooked from there. I wanted to be just like him. I wanted to listen to the music like he did. I wanted to rap like KRS-One, and that's kind of what did it. It was me as a smaller kid wanting just to be like the older kids. And my mother was a poet, so I started writing. And when I got into middle school, high school, that's when I really figured out, like, oh man, I got something going here, and I just kept on moving from there. But it was really just wanted to be like my older cousins.
Indeed. Now there's a pretty long stretch between wanting to be like your older siblings, older cousins, older kids on the block, and becoming a top tier lyricist.
Right.
So what would you say that got you to the point where you were really on the top of your game lyrically as an MC and also as a battle rapper?
Right.
So how do you get from the point of, making music because you wanted to kind of be like the people that were a little bit older than you to kind of, mastering that?
That happened as I transitioned from middle school into high school, where at first it was me wanting to be like my older cousins and wanting to just have fun and do it, to a point where I would actively go out and try to rap with other people and get rejected and get shut down. People would battle rap me on the spot and they weren't having it. And that's when I realized, oh, okay, this culture is a little bit more structured than that at that point, where you can't just go and be whack. These guys, the people that I was growing up around were just all battle rappers. So that's kind of what hit me. And I was like, all right, I got to go back and practice this. Like, you have to actually be skilled at this. And I loved it. I had a passion for writing and wanting to freestyle. And once I started winning battles and figuring out, like, oh, okay, I'm getting better at this, it became an addiction. So I started looking up, where are all the battles at? And I went from, I was still a freshman in high school, and I was going to Tampa to battle, to Jacksonville to battle. I was going to the UCF to go and battle. While I met Swanberger, and as I was a teenager, as I was in high school, I was going out and trying to battle. And I just, from there, that's what really developed my skill. At that time, I didn't know that I was subjecting myself to so many different types of styles by traveling outside of my own city. Then I realized, okay, this is how you do get better. So I started traveling to Scribble Jam. When I was in the Marines, I went to Boston, I went to LA, I would enter battles everywhere, and I was getting a taste of what all the different styles were like, and brought it back home, honed my skill, and that it became an addiction. Then I really wanted to battle, and after that, it's just a wrap. You have to kind of become crazy. You know, I spent all day writing, freestyling. I even do that now.
You know, what's interesting, and I definitely want to dig into some of the amazing things that you did, but what's interesting to me, you know, battling has been around, obviously, from the beginning,
Yeah.
right? I remember, and obviously I'm older than you, but I remember, you know, going to the park and battling kids in the park, and, you know, that was a certain level of it. But it seems as though it became a much more organized and, I don't know. It just became a movement, a battle movement in the, I think maybe the latter 90s, early 2000s. Is that right?
Yes.
And what I noticed, you know, when I started to see some of these MCs that were lyrically the most advanced, the most just proficient at being able to come up, not with just rhymes, but with rhymes that had impact, that meant something. Probably one of the first times, and it's funny to later on have seen this in the movie, Freestyle, I think, Art of Rhyme, you know, when I saw Supernatural. I used to play his records on the radio, but when I saw him live, he was at a booth performing. Actually, I shared a booth with a company back in the late 90s in New York, Jacob Javits Center. And I remember seeing him and do that, you know, thing where he literally would just grab things from the audience and just create, you know, a song out of that. And it gave me a different view on how talented, you know, freestyle artists are and battle artists are. And what always struck me was how you had these people that had, as I think, that were at the top of their game lyrically, but a lot of them couldn't transition that into the artist side. So in other words, becoming a recording artist and having a significant career, making albums and selling albums. Not that they didn't do it, but they weren't able to transition successfully. Obviously, the biggest example, and I'm sure there are plenty of others, but the biggest would be Eminem, clearly, Scribble Jam, right?
Yeah.
What do you think it is that so many of these amazing lyricists weren't able to cross into that other space?
I believe battle rap is completely separate from writing songs. You can be a song maker. You can express yourself in a certain way to a tune, but battle rap is it's almost a different discipline. There's something different about it. You are constantly writing to destroy somebody rather than express yourself and figure out how to do it in a way that it can be accepted by others or, you know, easily absorbed. Battle rappers tend to be a bit more aggressive with what it is that they're doing, and sometimes they just can't make that transition. It's like riding a bike and a skateboard. You know, like technically you're moving at around the same speed and doing the same types of things, but you're still using your 2 feet. You know, like, but it's a lot. They're completely different worlds. You know, like there's people that can't do both. You know what I mean? True. It's the same thing with, and you think it's just rapping is just rapping. It's just coming out. Like, there's a big difference between freestyling and writing.
True.
There are people who cannot freestyle, period, and they're amazing writers.
Indeed.
And vice versa, you know? So it's the same thing with battle rap and making music. I just think that even though they appear from the outside to be within the same arena, they're two different worlds.
Do you think also a part of that is marketing? That, you know, when someone creates or crafts a single and then obviously a string of singles that we call an album with a theme, and there's album art and there's a machine behind it, that there's something to be said about the power of that marketing versus somebody that could just kill it on the mic.
Right. There are a lot of people who they have the ability to just kill it on a mic and that's it. They don't know about marketing. They don't know how to piece it all together, and that's why you had, A&Rs and you had all these. Nowadays, people are doing it independently because they're getting smart because of the internet, and people are starting to research and take advantage of technology and algorithms and things of that nature. But at the end of the day, if it's just your passion to want to battle or write and you really don't, delve into what it takes to make those complete packages and present them to the public or a mass, then that's all you'll ever do. You can be that boxer with that really super great jab because you never practice your uppercut.
True.
That's how I feel about battle rappers. Like, a lot of them have really, really strong jabs, but they never practice their uppercut, let alone their hooks.
Indeed. And obviously there's also, the business side of it.
Yeah.
The business side is sophisticated. It's not just, I think we all know that it's not about the greatest talent.
Right.
It's a package, and part of that package is the business.
Right.
So let's talk a little bit about moving from, going out there, killing it on the battle scene, to then starting this amazing league that, really takes over the movement and ends up with, millions of views on YouTube.
Yeah. Well, going to Scribble Jam, I started going to Scribble Jam in 2003. I battled in Scribble Jam from 2003 all the way up to 2008. And it was during when I was in the Marine Corps, so I was doing a lot of traveling, going to battles. And then I figured, man, this is really cool. I want to try to do like boxing. I had a friend who would come to me and he would say like, hey, why don't we start throwing some battles, right? I was already booking the Scribble Jam prelims. I brought the Scribble Jam to Orlando 2 years in a row. I was speaking with Kevin Beecham. I was in the World Rap Championships. My partner and I had, we placed 8 in the world, and that's when I figured like, all right, I want to turn this into a league. So we started recording battles and keeping track of the wins and losses, and we said, hey, this might be something fun that we can throw up on YouTube. World Star threw up one of our battles. It was Johnny Storm versus Moss Gelton, and we got like 30,000 views, and that's when like we thought it was broken. We were like, what? That doesn't 30,000? Like, no, 30,000 viewers aren't. No way. I wanted to get like 1,000 views. That was cool to me. I was the king at 1,000 views. And then we contacted World Star and we were like, hey, what's going on? And they're like, we love your content. It was Q, rest in peace. He told us, you know what? Send us more of this and we'll put it up and we'll send you our logo. That way you can edit it over the video. So we started doing that, and then all of a sudden 30,000 turned into 300,000, turned into 500,000. Then we were getting a million views per video, and it went on from there. That I thought to myself, okay, once we started getting a buzz on World Star, I thought this can definitely blow up, because World Star at the moment was starting to super take off, And so I was like, let's do this in New York. Let's do this in LA. We did it in New York, and it got even bigger. We did it in LA, it got even bigger. And all of a sudden, we started getting contacted from celebrities and famous rappers, and that's when it really was like, all right, we got a business now. We have a company. We need to get this rolling. We ended up in Sydney, Australia, Johannesburg, South Africa, Canada. We were everywhere. So that's when it became real. When we started blowing up through World Star and getting the bookings, halfway through this 9.5 year period that Grind Time existed, we were at the Warped Tour, Rock the Bells, Paid Dues, all of the major festivals. We had our own stage there. We didn't have to pay for it. We were being paid. We had people like Meta World Peace coming out and just wanting to be on stage with us while we were battling, and that's when it really turned into like, we're a part of this culture now. Even the famous rappers want to be a part of this.